The lifespan perspective, a balanced point of view. 1.3. Describe the lifespan perspective on development. So far we have discussed basic issues of human development in terms of extremes, solutions favoring one side or the other, but as we trace the unfolding of the field you will see that the positions of many theorists have softened. Today, some theorists believe that both continuous and discontinuous changes occur. Many acknowledge that development has both universal features and features unique to each individual and his or her context, and a growing number regard heredity and environment as inseparably interwoven, each affecting the potential of the other to modify the child's traits and capacities. These balanced visions owe much to the expansions of research from an early exclusive focus on the first 2 decades of life to include development during adulthood. In the first half of the 20th century, it was widely assumed that development stopped at adolescence. Infancy and childhood were viewed as periods of rapid transformation, adulthood as a plateau, and aging as a period of decline. The changing character of the North American population awakened researchers to the idea that gains in functioning are lifelong. Because of improvements in nutrition, sanitation, and medical knowledge, average life expectancy, as in the number of years an individual born in a particular year can expect to live, gained more in the 20th century than in the preceding 5,000 years. In 1900, US life expectancy was just under age 50. In 2000, it was 76.8. Today it is 78.8 years in the United States and even higher in most other industrialized nations, including neighboring Canada. Life expectancy continues to increase. In the United States, it is predicted to reach 84 years in 2050. Consequently, there are more older adults, a worldwide trend that is especially striking in developed countries. People aged 65 and older accounted for about 4% of the US population in 1900, 7% in 1950, and 14% in 2013. Older adults are not only more numerous but also healthier and more active. Challenging the earlier stereotype of the withering person, they have contributed to a profound shift in our view of human change. Increasingly, researchers are envisioning it from a developmental systems perspective, as a perpetually ongoing process, extending from conception to death, that is molded by a complex network of biological, psychological, and social influences. A leading systems approach is the lifespan perspective. 4 assumptions make up this broader view: that development is 1. Lifelong, 2. Multidimensional and multidirectional, 3. Highly plastic, and 4. Affected by multiple interacting forces. Development is lifelong. According to the lifespan perspective, no age period is supreme in its impact on the life course. Rather, events occurring during each major period, summarized in Table 1.1, can have equally powerful effects on future change. Within each period, change occurs in 3 broad domains: physical, cognitive, and emotional/social, which we separate for convenience of discussion. Yet these domains are not really distinct, they overlap and interact. Every age period has its own agenda, its unique demands and opportunities that yield certain similarities in development across many individuals. Nevertheless, throughout life, the challenges people face and the adjustments they make are highly diverse in timing and pattern, as the remaining assumptions make clear. Development is multidimensional and multidirectional. Think back to Sophie's life and how she continually faced new demands and opportunities. From a lifespan perspective, the challenges and adjustments of development are multidimensional, affected by an intricate blend of biological, psychological, and social forces. Lifespan development is also multidirectional in at least 2 ways. First, development is not limited to improved performance. Rather, at every period, it is a joint expression of growth and decline. When Sophie directed her energies towards mastering languages and music as a school-aged child, she gave up refining other skills to their full potential. Later, when she chose to become a teacher, she let go of other career options. Although gains are especially evident early in life and losses during the final years, people of all ages can improve current skills and develop new ones, including skills that compensate for reduced functioning. Most older adults, for example, devise compensatory techniques for dealing with their increasing memory failures. They may rely more on external aids, such as calendars and lists, or generate new internal strategies, such as visualizing exactly where they will be and what they will be doing when they must keep an appointment or take medication. Second, besides being multidirectional over time, change is multidirectional within each domain of development. Although some qualities of Sophie's cognitive functioning, such as memory, probably declined in her mature years, her knowledge of both English and French undoubtedly grew throughout her life, and she also developed new forms of thinking. For example, Sophie's wealth of experience and ability to cope with diverse problems led her to become expert in practical matters, a quality of reasoning called wisdom. Recall Sophie's wise advice to Laura and Ken on the eve of their wedding day. We will consider the development of wisdom in chapter 17. Notice in the examples just mentioned how the lifespan perspective includes both continuous and discontinuous change. Table 1.1. Major periods of human development. Period. Prenatal. Conception to birth. The one-celled organism transforms into a human baby with remarkable capacities to adjust to life in the surrounding world. Infancy and toddlerhood. Birth to 2 years. Dramatic changes in the body and brain support the emergence of a wide array of motor, perceptual, and intellectual capacities and first intimate ties to others. Early childhood. 2 to 6 years. During the play years, motor skills are refined, thought and language expand at an astounding pace, a sense of morality is evident, and children establish ties with peers. Middle childhood, 6 to 11 years. The school years are marked by improved athletic abilities, more logical thought processes, mastery of fundamental reading, writing, math, and other academic knowledge and skills, advances in self-understanding, morality, and friendship, and the beginnings of peer group membership. Adolescence, 11 to 18 years. Puberty leads to an adult-sized body and sexual maturity. Thought becomes abstract and idealistic, and school achievement more serious. Adolescents begin to establish autonomy from the family and to define personal values and goals. Early adulthood, 18 to 40 years. Most young people leave home, complete their education, and begin full-time work. Major concerns are developing a career, forming an intimate partnership, and marrying, rearing children, or pursuing other lifestyles. Middle adulthood, 40 to 65 years. Many people are at the height of their careers and attain leadership positions. They must also help their children begin independent lives and their parents adapt to aging. They become more aware of their own mortality. Late adulthood, 65 years to death. People adjust to retirement, to decreased physical strength and health, and often to the death of an intimate partner. They reflect on the meaning of their lives. Development is plastic. Lifespan researchers emphasize that development is plastic at all ages. Consider Sophie's social reserve in childhood and her decision to study rather than marry as a young adult. As new opportunities arose, Sophie moved easily into marriage and childbearing in her 30s. And although parenthood and financial difficulties posed challenges, Sophie and Philip's relationships gradually became richer and more fulfilling. In chapter 17, we will see that intellectual performance also remains flexible with advancing age. Older adults respond to special training with substantial, but not unlimited, gains in a wide variety of mental abilities. Evidence on plasticity reveals that aging is not an eventual shipwreck, as has often been assumed. Instead, the metaphor of a butterfly of metamorphosis and continued potential provides a far more accurate picture of lifespan change. Still, development gradually becomes less plastic as both capacity and opportunity for change are reduced. And plasticity varies greatly across individuals. Some children and adults experience more diverse life circumstances. Also, as the biology and environment box on pages 10 to 11 indicates, some adapt more easily than others to changing conditions. Development is influenced by multiple interacting forces. According to the lifespan perspective, pathways of change are highly diverse because development is influenced by multiple forces: biological, historical, social, and cultural. Although these wide-ranging influences can be organized into 3 categories, they work together, combining in unique ways to fashion each life course. Age-graded influences. Events that are strongly related to age and therefore fairly predictable in when they occur and how long they last are called age-graded influences. For example, most individuals walk shortly after their first birthday, acquire their native language during the preschool years, reach puberty around age 12 to 14, and for women experience menopause in their late 40s or early 50s. These milestones are influenced by biology, but social customs such as starting school around age 6, getting a driver's license at age 16, and entering college around age 18 can create age-graded influences as well. Age-graded influences are especially prevalent in childhood and adolescence, when biological changes are rapid and cultures impose many age-related experiences to ensure that young people acquire the skills they need to participate in their society. History-graded influences. Development is also profoundly affected by forces unique to a particular historical era. Examples include epidemics, wars, and periods of economic prosperity or depression. Technological advances like the introduction of television, computers, the internet, smartphones, and tablets, and changes in cultural values such as attitudes towards women, ethnic minorities, and older adults. These history-graded influences explain why people born around the same time, called a cohort, tend to be alike in ways that set them apart from people born at other times. Consider the baby boomers, a term used to describe people born between 1946 and 1964, the post-World War II period during which birth rates soared in most Western nations. This population increase was especially sharp in the United States. By 1960, the pre-war birth rate had nearly doubled, yielding the largest gain in the nation's history. The sheer size of the baby boom generation made it a powerful force from the time its members became young adults. Today, the baby boomers are redefining our view of middle and late adulthood. Non-normative influences. Age-graded and history-graded influence are normative, meaning typical or average, because each affects large numbers of people in a similar way. Non-normative influences are events that are irregular. They happen to just one person or a few people and do not follow a predictable timetable. Consequently, they enhance the multidirectionality of development. Non-normative influences that had a major impact on the direction of Sophie's life include piano lessons in childhood with an inspiring teacher, delayed marriage, parenthood, and career entry, and a battle with cancer. Because they occur irregularly, non-normative events are difficult for researchers to capture and study. Yet, as each of us can attest from our own experiences, they can affect us in powerful ways. Non-normative influences have become more powerful than age-graded influences, less so in contemporary adult development. Compared with Sophie's era, much greater diversity exists today in the ages at which people finish their education, enter careers, marry, have children, and retire. Indeed, Sophie's off-time accomplishment would have been less unusual had she been born 2 generations later. Age remains a powerful organizer of everyday experiences, and age-related expectations have certainly not disappeared. But age markers have blurred, and they vary across ethnic groups and cultures. The increasing role of non-normative events in the life course adds to the fluid nature of lifespan development. Notice that instead of a single line of development, the lifespan perspective emphasizes many potential pathways and outcomes, an image more like tree branches extending in diverse directions, which may undergo both continuous and stage-wise transformation. Now, let's turn to scientific foundations of the field as a prelude to major theories that address various aspects of change. Extra content. Ask yourself. Connect. Distinguish age-grade, history-grade, and non-normative influences on lifespan development. Cite an example of each in Sophie's story. Apply. Anna, a high school counselor, devised a program that integrates classroom learning with vocational training to help adolescents at risk for school dropouts stay in school and transition to work life. What's Anna's position on stability versus plasticity in development? Explain. Reflect. Describe an aspect of your development that differs from a parent's or a grandparent's when he or she was your age. Using influences highlighted by the lifespan perspective, explain this difference in development. Biology and environment. Resilience. John and his best friend Gary grew up in a rundown, crime-ridden inner-city neighborhood. By age 10, each had experienced years of family conflict followed by parental divorce. Reared from then on in mother-headed households, John and Gary rarely saw their fathers. Both dropped out of high school and were in and out of trouble with the police. When their paths diverged by age 30, John had fathered 2 children with women he never married, had spent time in prison, was unemployed, and drank alcohol heavily. In contrast, Gary had returned to finish high school, had studied auto mechanics at a community college, and had become manager of a gas station and repair shop. Married with 2 children, he had saved his earnings and bought a home. He was happy, healthy, and well adapted to life. A wealth of evidence shows that environmental risk, poverty, negative family interactions, and parental divorce, job loss, mental illness, and drug abuse predisposed children to future problems. Why did Gary beat the odds and bounce back from adversity? Research on resilience, the ability to adapt effectively in the face of threats to development, is receiving increased attention as investigators look for ways to protect young people from the damaging effects of stressful life conditions. This interest has been inspired by several long-term studies on the relationship of life stressors in childhood to competence and adjustment in adolescence and adulthood. In each study, some individuals were shielded from negative outcomes, whereas others had lasting problems. 4 broad factors seem to offer protection from the damaging effects of stressful life events. Personal characteristics. A child's genetically influenced characteristics can reduce exposure to risk or lead to experiences that compensate for early stressful events. High intelligence and socially valued talents, such as in music or athletics, increase the chances that a child will have rewarding experiences in school and in the community that offset the impact of a stressful home life. Temperament is particularly powerful. Children who have easygoing, sociable dispositions and who can readily inhibit negative emotions and impulses tend to have an optimistic outlook on life and a special capacity to adapt to change, qualities that elicit positive responses from others. In contrast, emotionally reactive and irritable children often tax the patience of people around them. For example, both John and Gary moved several times during their childhood. Each time John became anxious and angry. Gary looked forward to making new friends and exploring a new neighborhood. A warm parental relationship. A close relationship with at least one parent who provides warmth, appropriately high expectations, monitoring of the child's activities, and an organized home environment fosters resilience. But this factor, as well as the next one, is not independent of children's personal characteristics. Children who are self-controlled, socially responsive, and able to deal with change are easier to rear and more likely to enjoy positive relationships with parents and other people. At the same time, children develop more attractive dispositions as a result of parental warmth and attention. Social support outside the immediate family. The most consistent asset of resilient children is a strong bond with a competent, caring adult. For children who do not have a close bond with either parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, or teacher who forms a special relationship with a child can promote resilience. Gary received support in adolescence from his grandfather, who listened to Gary's concerns and helped him solve problems. In addition, Gary's grandfather had a stable marriage and work life and handled stressors skillfully. Consequently, he served as a model of effective coping. Associations with rule-abiding peers who value academic achievements are also linked to resilience. But children who have positive relationships with adults are far more likely to establish these supportive peer ties. Community resources and opportunities. Community supports, supervision offered by neighborhood adults, high-quality childcare centers and public schools, convenient and affordable health care and social services, libraries and recreation centers foster both parents' and children's well-being. In addition, opportunities to participate in community life help older children and adolescents overcome adversity. Extracurricular activities at school, religious youth groups, scouting, and other organizations teach important social skills such as cooperation, leadership, and contributing to others' welfare. As participants acquire these competencies, they gain in self-reliance, self-esteem, and community commitment. As a college student, Gary volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, joining a team building affordable housing in low-income neighborhoods. Community involvement offered Gary opportunities to form meaningful relationships, which further strengthened his resilience. Research on resilience highlights the complex connections between heredity and environment. Armed with positive characteristics which stem from native endowment, favorable rearing experience, or both, children and adolescents can act to reduce stressful situations. But when many risks pile up, they are increasingly difficult to overcome. To inoculate children against the negative effects of risk, interventions must not only reduce risks, but also enhance children's protective relationships at home, in school, and in the community. This means attending to both the person and the environment, strengthening the individual's capacities while also reducing hazardous experiences.